In this video, we are doing a film study. 9 times out of 10, whenever coaches and fighters actually do a film study, they tend to do the film study strictly on the opponent or on the team, and they neglect to study themselves. You can't go into a fight pretending or believing that you do everything in a perfect way. You want to be able to dissect your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, but you also want to know where do you fit in terms of those strengths and weaknesses. Having strong self-awareness is very important. That way, when you do run into a problem, whether it be in the gym or the fight, and maybe it's a fight you get by, by the skin of your teeth, as they say, you can go into the gym and actually fix those problems. So in this video, the first thing we're doing is we're looking at the entire 2.5 minute round. And I'm taking mental notes. I'm not really writing anything down. I'm just documenting a little aspects of their movements, their engagement, their interactions together. And I'm just looking at some things that we could possibly work on. Then the next phase is where I segment this round into the pacing by cutting out all the dead space. I want to try to understand what the conditioning is like. Out of 2.5 minutes, how much time do they actually spend engaged with one another, or how much time do they actually take off and just kind of stare at one another? If you watch a lot of fights, you will notice that activity. In this situation right here, Kyle goes down. He looks like his shoulder, took a little bit of a bump, but he chooses to go on. And when he gets back up, I know the shoulder was impacted because now he switches to orthodox, and he normally likes to go southpaw. So I look at this and I can see how long it takes him to get back on track. He had to simply loosen up, and he's back being himself. And we're moving close to the end of the round. He's rushing a little bit because he's trying to get some of those takedowns back. And that's okay, because like I said, this is just a matter of studying and figure some things out that we can add to the training routine. So here, we take out all the dead space. So what we're going to get a good look at is the amount of activity that's happening between them, how fast it is, how slow it is, how tactical it is, whether they go to the head, they go to the body. The one thing I noticed is in 2.5 minutes, when I took out the dead space, they were pretty much active for 2 minutes. So if I look at that in the perspective of a pro round, that means that they have the potential, not the capability, the potential to actually fight 80% of the round, needing only 20% recovery. That's pretty good. The trick is, how do we move forward and make that something that's sustainable? But the good news is, this is something that they pretty much brought to the table, and all I did was just pay attention to it, and now I can add it to a training regimen where they pretty much just can't back away from it. In other words, right here, what they're doing is setting, the groundwork. They're setting the foundation, and all I have to do is just keep them moving forward. I will not allow them to move backwards. Now, at this point, I'm also picking up little mental notes in terms of how many kicks are being thrown, how many punches are being thrown, who's initiating, who's doing the takedown work. So as we get close to the end here and we start the next segment, I'm going to pay attention primarily to just the hand strikes. Who's doing most of the hand strikes initiating, and pretty much, the targeting system, paying attention to where both guys are targeting the most. What I've already picked out from both guys is that they do a nice little mixture of, jabs and crosses. I didn't see a lot of hooks and uppercuts, but the head was the primary target and the body was pretty much secondary. You've got to get them going into different angles, different approaches. I did like the fact that I saw striking in the open. I saw striking on the ground. I saw striking up against the wall, and also saw striking in transition. So that's a good sign. And sometimes when you're watching fights, if you don't pay attention to that, you will mistakenly give your opponent credit for, having a stronger technique than they really have, because you're not paying attention to when that strike happens, where that strike happens. And so, again, that was a good cross off the kick. Could have been an off-balance shot. But nonetheless, I'm just getting some details, making mental notes in terms of who likes to strike. And also because I don't have any elbows involved in this, because they were amateurs at the time, I counted knees as well. So the other thing that I noticed is both guys kind of like to work from the clinch, which is indicative of sometimes my training style, because I like to work from the clinch. So now we're looking at kicks, see how many kicks are involved, and takedowns. Kicks and takedowns. This is what we're looking at. And the thing I did notice, like I said, weren't a lot of kicks. There was at least one or two push kicks, a couple round kicks to the legs. And as far as the takedowns, it was pretty much Paris initiating and securing. He kept Kyle pretty much off balance, and it was Kyle toward the end initiating one of his own. And it was just a little bit a rush takedown. Like I said, he wanted to get some of that action back earlier part of the round. Now, going into this phase right here of the video, I'm paying attention to this engagement. This is like a 45-second engagement where they stay connected, and Kyle keeps his hips moving. He's trying to get back to his feet. Paris is trying to follow up and work on the countermeasures, tries to take him back down there. Kyle's back to his feet. Kyle gets hit. Kyle takes over, pushes Paris back. Paris tries to counter off the cage. And this is really good because it shows some of that mental aptitude that both fighters bring to try to win the fight. Now, I'm not talking about these two fighters in particular. I'm talking about learning to see these little attributes in any fighter that you train. I am Coach Sess, and you've had words with the Mad Coach.